Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it's time for the Play Up Props video here for you guys that we're bringing you each and every day this week. Had a pretty good night on Friday last time we spoke to you. Went 4-2 on the night, won 1.7 units there. Make sure you're following along. We've also got best bets up. Did even better in that one, which I know we're known for our Play Up Props, but we've actually been crushing these sides this year so far as well. So make sure you're tagging along on the best bets videos that we're bringing you each day as well. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Check out the great content we're putting up on the site right now with sports galore. Also have that odds finder tool up there for you. You can make sure that you are shopping those lines and odds to the best of your ability across these sports books this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get into your first play up prop here from Monday's big juicy slate.
Yeah, the rookie Oscar Thompson, 11.5 rebounds and assists, going over on that. And can we get the man a nickname at this point? I mean, I think Pogo Sticks is probably pretty fitting, considering how he just seems to just elevate after he's jumped and just eclipse shots. And in this case, grab rebounds. Per 100 possessions, he's grabbing 18 rebounds and handing out 8 assists because he can't shoot. So he's going to just be passing all night. I mean, he's shooting 26% from the field. This was the knock on him versus his twin brother, is that his just offensive game is not refined, but he has this insane hop. So, you know, his minutes have gone up in the last 2 here, and he's gotten 12 and 13 boards. Just getting over this prop in just boards. Also handed out 11 assists in those last 2 games, both W's for Detroit. Now facing a OKC team that's on a back-to-back, and last year they shot much worse on back-to-backs, 44% from the field, resulting in 49 rebounds for opponents, which is, up 2 rebounds per game versus normal rest. Also allowed 116 points per game, so that'll help you get the assists. And through a couple games here, OKC giving up 9.2 rebounds per game, 2 small forwards. Although Thompson is a bit more of your above average leaper for a small forward. As long as he gets 30 plus minutes, I think he gets gets close to this with just the boards. So that's why I'm going with it.
Yeah, sounds great. Pogo Sticks, just to be clear, you are spelling with an X at the end, I believe, to get to Pogo Sticks, so that it's a little bit more unique than the regular word. I believe Pogo Stick probably has a brand trademark on that name as well, so you'd probably have to go with the X there to get it in. But I'm with it. Heretofore, Oscar Thompson is Pogo Sticks on this show. I appreciate that. I'm going to go with Trae Young, someone who cannot be confused with having super great hops and will never be confused for Oscar Thompson, but obviously we know everything else he does. So let's go with over 24.5 for Trae. I think it's very low. I think it's at least like 3 or 4 points off of what it should be when you look at what he's done against the Timberwolves. I'm going a full unit and a half. It's minus 104 on FanDuel. I also hit it last night at 23.5 for worst juice, but I think it's definitely worth it for the better juice here, nearly even money for him to get 25. He played Minnesota in his twice last season, twice the season before. So in the last 4 that he's played them, he's averaged 34 a game, 5 boards, 10 assists. That's all in 34 minutes per game against them. He's shooting 50% from the field, 52 from deep, and 92 from the line, where he's gotten 12.5 times on average against them in those last 4 as a little scrawny guard. Just continues to get to the line against them. 11.5 points per game from the free throw line against this Minnesota team. Some Shaq stuff, dude. It's crazy. But it kind of, there's a pretty simple explanation. He puts Rudy Gobert in the pick and roll, or if you want, he puts Karl Anthony Towns in the pick and roll. Whomever wants to come get it, they can come get it. It's just whomever's guarding Capella in that sense. And sometimes with John Collins, who obviously he doesn't have there anymore, but he's just going to run this into the ground again with Clint Capella, because you need to pull Rudy away from the basket. You need to get him pedaling backwards, and then he's toast, right? Then he's a baguette, a cooked baguette. So I think we can go with the full unit and a half for Trae in this one. If you even look at the way that he's played at home, 39 points per game and 11 7 assists per game on the last 2 for him at home that he's averaged against this team. And these totals just skyrocket. Like, I thought about an over in this game as well. I just wanted to get in on the points that I think are going to come, because the total is up to like 235.5 right now, because these two teams have averaged 246 points per game in these last 4 that I keep talking about Trey having such good offensive numbers. And I mean, already, like, Minnesota's giving up a ton of points to point guards because it's kind of what they do. It's what they did last season as well. You're going to continue to see the ability for guys to obviously score on old Mike Conley and whatnot. So not a man I like to trash, but Trey's a little bit better at home as well. Scores 28 per game at home last year versus 25. So even more assists if you wanted to throw that in there somewhere. I'm fine with it, because it's just going to be pick and roll to death time tonight against this Minnesota team, and Trey's going to get probably close to 30, if not 30. So over 24.5 feels like a steal.
Yeah, it's something he did 6 of 8 back-to-backs last year, with the exceptions coming against like Miami, who he's always struggled against, and not this Minnesota team, which is Mike Conley at the point of attack. Just a complete, just a veteran at this point, a geriatric point guard. Trey should have no problem cooking against him. I fully support it.
Careful, we love Mike Conley on this show, but he is going to get cooked today.
Yes. I'm going to go with the Celtic here. Derek White over 12.5 points, or 16.5 points rebounds. Split the unit if you want, or take either. Because, I mean, his role is secure now. The Celtics, they have very clearly defined roles. I think they had like 90% of their points from starting players against Miami in their last game. It's just like the second unit is not going to produce much. They're just going to spell these guys. So now White playing 34 minutes per game versus 28 last year. It's not a coincidence that he's averaging 20 points and 6 rebounds through 2 games with a ridiculous offensive rating. I mean, he's incredibly efficient on both ends of the floor. Last year, per 36, he averaged 16 points. So, but this year, I mean, I think you see the confidence continue to grow after what he was able to do in the playoffs for them, and now coming into the season as just again a very clear part of their future, as part of what I would say is the best starting lineup in the league. And now the matchup at Washington and Jordan Poole, who unsurprisingly is helping allow the 3rd most overall fantasy points to point guards this season. So that's points, rebounds, and assists, should be coming in spades here, because Washington's playing at the fastest pace in the league and is 26th in defensive rating, 2nd most points per game allowed, and allowing the 2nd most defensive rebounds. So White is a very good rebounding guard. I think he gets there with the points and the rebounds.
Yeah, I love Derek White. Derek White and the Celtics are like a beautiful rom-com where it's like, we've been looking for a point guard for so long, and it's like he's been under your nose the whole time. Like, he's been there for you the whole time, where you have a responsible, organized point guard who's pretty tall. He does everything else that these guys don't want to do. He blocks shots from the guard position. He's all defense NBA. He could be first team this year with the amount of minutes that he's getting. That was a pretty good bet, futures bet I made at the beginning of the season, by the way, was Derek White all first team, because he's going to keep soaking up the usage. Like, they've got what they've been looking for. It's so awesome to watch him out there. And what's really awesome is these guys trust him. Like, you watch Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown give him the ball at the top of the key and say, like, set us up, organize us. You bring the ball up. I don't need it in my hands. We haven't seen that. Why would you? God bless Marcus. Like, Marcus was never going to be that guy. That's Derek White, like, bringing his Spurs DNA to the Celtics and really helping out. So yeah, I'm going to continue to feel good about a lot of Derek White stuff. The points at 12.5 is like starting to be right around where I max out for him. But everything else with the points and rebounds, the rebounds and even assists, I think it's all good for him. Tonight he should eat, especially against Jordan Poole. So I'm gushing over your pick here big time. Let me go ahead and close things out with SGA. And I wanted to get in on OKC winning this game against Detroit at home, which you don't have to tell me that Detroit's better. I definitely a Detroit stan because I'm a Cade Cunningham stan. I definitely believe in Cade Cunningham as your like all-star franchise point guard, not a question. that all that said, like SGA, this is a spot that SGA I think is going to eat, and I think this Thunder team is going to eat because I think they're pretty pissed that they just got waxed by the Denver Nuggets on a Sunday while everybody else was watching Red Zone. They were getting smacked in the face. It was during the witching hour too that they were getting smacked in the face, and I was like, I'm not watching that while there's touchdowns flying around on Red Zone. But I think in this spot, they're coming back home. They're taking on the Detroit Pistons. It's a -5.5 point spread now, opened at about -5, and I took it at -5. I'm going to throw it into a parlay here since this is the play of props video with SGA. So an SGP featuring SGA and OKC to win by 4.5. I'm going to take him at 25 plus points because, like, I could take him at 30, and that's what most people would do here. I juiced up his lower point total because, like, there were just a few things. Like, I do believe in Detroit's ability to guard the perimeter a little bit more, but not quite enough, right? And Shea is still going to get inside where Detroit does have some bodies down low that have been pretty good at defending the rim so far this season, and even when they played a bit last season, I will say, including Jalen Duran, who they're finally giving some more time to. But all that said, like, I still think Shea to get 25 is a pretty good bet. He failed to score 20 last year 3 times, which he just did against Denver in 28 minutes, where he scored 7 points, which I don't think he's done in like 3 seasons. But following the 3 times that he did not score 20 last year, he averaged 31 points per game in the following 3. Like I said, he played just 28 minutes. That's a huge reason why we're getting so much value, I think, on them at home against Detroit, where I think most of the public would devalue Detroit and value OKC, but the books were still like, well, they're on a back-to-back. Maybe something will happen there. Barely a back-to-back. Nobody played 30 minutes. Nobody was really trying by the time they came out of the game because it was already a 20-point blowout for them in the third quarter. So that gives us some juice on the spread and why I didn't feel the need to just take the money line here. I still think getting the 4.5 where I took them, just so I can keep that number under 5, which I like doing. 5 is a pretty key number in basketball, so I want to continue to keep it under that 5 with them at home, shooting free throws at the end, that kind of thing. He already dropped 33 on them last year in November and the one time that he faced the Pistons. And like I said, the Pistons just way better at guarding people down low. They've already given up 50 plus to Zach LaVine this year. Jimmy had 20 against them, and then 3 Charlotte guards had 3 Charlotte guards, if you include Gordon Hayward in there as a perimeter player, all scored 20 plus against them in the same game against them in this earlier in the season. So the SGP for SGA to go 25 plus with OKC -4.5 plus 130. Give me a full unit, and we ride with the Thunder tonight.
Yeah, I like your logic on all this for the bounce back spot. I would just go with the money line and take him at his actual prop, which is 30 points. Like, he's projected to score 29.5. I don't know why you're worried about him scoring 30. I'd be more worried about OKC covering 5.5 on a back-to-back. Granted, it's a different type of back-to-back situation, but Detroit has been in like every game so far. I don't necessarily see them getting blown out as long as Cade Cunningham is active. So I'd rather go 30 plus on the money line personally.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, when I was looking at them not getting I mean, they blew out the Hornets. Do what you will with that. Still not going to try to figure out Charlotte, even though I did like them to beat Atlanta. And then, yeah, they play Miami well at home. Miami not trying first game of the season. It's some of that. I think it's going to be try hard time for the Thunder, which is why I think the Pistons are going to be a little bit above, like they're not going to be able to meet them at that level. So we'll see. Either way, we continue to stay high on these play-up props. Like we said in the other video here, the best bets that we have up for you, we are a resounding 22-16 on the season, now up 6.85 units for you guys. So we're going to look to stay hot here on a big slate for Monday. Continue to follow along until we do see you next. Happy betting.